We're going to be talking about State of the Game for, well, end of November, anticipating what to expect as we head on into December 2022, the last month of the year. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So, State of the Game, Competitive Edition. So, the Banlist actually really did send some pretty big fallout throughout the community. I hate to say it, but the loss of Mystic Mine still to this day has people split on if it was a good thing or bad thing. That's always going to be an interesting take from the community. We also saw that Macro and Di-Fi sent people running for the hills. It's amazing to me how many people lost their actual crap at, the particulars of that. And I don't know why. It was the same thing that we saw with Engage. I've talked about that in another video where, bringing back one of these particular power cards, maybe to such large numbers and like overall impact with things like that is very interesting. So we'll see, how the overall impact of that goes. I think the biggest thing that people are still upset about is, the supposed dominance that you're still going to see out of tier elements. And I get it. I do. I get that seeing, a deck like that, go unscathed by a potential list, it can be very disheartening. And I understand that the casual player base, there are a lot of misconceptions out there, like, oh my god, the competitive player base, keeps the game all, like, going, like they're the ones buying the most product. I hate to break this to you, but we're but a fraction of what actually goes on within the scope of the game. So that argument is entirely invalid and in itself. So there's that. But I understand the gripes of everybody looking at the list being like, oh, well, aren't you supposed to clean up particular hits, not release more of them to the community? Well, if you're going to fight something, you may as well, give everybody, put them on more of an equal footing at the overall end of the day. That at least is what feels like happened with Macro and Di-Fi getting freed back up to larger numbers. So kind of my food for thought there on the competitive scene at the moment, or at least, playing the game right now is it's still got problems. We'll see how February rolls out with Photon Hypernova, if we see some sorts of changes and some sorts of cleanup to the current mess that's been established. That's kind of what I'm hoping. Now, speaking of Photon Hypernova, Kashtira, Shangri-La, good stuff. Level 7, rank 7, turbo toolbox, lock all your opponent zones, will be the next big competitive deck. Whether or not you choose to acknowledge Kashtira, or you're like, I'm not going to buy my Fenrir's, I'll buy them, when that time comes. Well, I hate to tell you this, but you get the knowledge to look that far down the rabbit hole. It's why I like making these types of videos, is to kind of, warn people and go, hey, looking down the future here, you have an opportunity to know what the next tier 1 deck is. That kind of knowledge, getting prepared a couple months in advance, a lot of people are going to look at that as a blessing. And I get that. I think that that's going to be pretty important at the end of the day. So, I guess more little things to consider out here. If you want to pick up a case of Photon Hypernova, if you're going to ride the line for singles, or maybe, you want a chance for the Starlight. So a case seems more like an opportune thing. We also get the new Plunder Patrol out of there. I'm personally excited to see what that'll bring to the table. I also believe that'll be our new TCG exclusive archetype starting to roll on out at that point as well. So that's what we're looking forward to in the future. We also have Infinity Chaser rolling out here, and the what is it, the Rescue Aces, they look cool. Purely, I think, might actually kind of spicing up things a little bit. I'm looking forward to seeing what more that they give to Purely and things like that, because, it's the first initial line of support. Konami always has a power-up card or two coming up in a main set much later on. It just takes, forever for us to finally reach the point to get those cards, and we have not seen those yet. So right now, looking at Infinity Chaser, or the set for power-ups for January and what's to come in there, I do think that there is something to be had in there. I think there's a lot of cool stuff. whatever the collector's rares end up being, obviously I think the collector's rares will be the thing that holds the set together. It's kind of been that way for a little while, where the collector's rares end up being the most crucial piece of the set. And it sucks that, you have to rely on collector's rares to kind of be that, linchpin to hold it together, but that's what the community actually is looking for. Like, obviously, like, cheaper cards, because, whatever gets like a rare reprint in there has a chance to be a collector's rare, which means you can get cheaper copies of some already decent stuff. Speaking of decent copies and cheap cards, this reprint season has been amazing. Talents, Evenlies, all these former staple cards all got reprints in Mavens. $10, most of them are, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to get into Yu-Gi-Oh right now. It's actually, this is one of the cheapest price points, and I will say that I think the longer that players hesitate to pick up staples right now, obviously the way that the format is itself doesn't make crazy immediate use of these particular cards. But, things will shift. This will not last forever, all right? That's one big thing to, like, put on the table here is whatever power scaling and things that are currently established, there will be a shift and you will see these. You've seen DD Crow and Effectively flip-flop out of the format how many times over the last couple of years? Now that the Bysteel cards have arrived, you've also got to ask yourself the question of, if Light and Dark decks don't exist, will these continue to see play, or will they fall out of favor? I don't think DD Crow's time in the sun has necessarily wrapped up, but it is very interesting to see those metagame shifts and things as well. So those are some really big things to consider there, as times change with the format is, those big key players. How long will they stick around? What staples can you get cheap now that, you expect in a couple of months will go through the roof? And the Mavens was designed to be that cheap set. So, especially like if you go into the holiday season here, and, you go to Walmart, you see Mavens, possibly even, some holiday sales being much cheaper. It might be worth it to give some consideration to picking up one of those just to have sealed, because I think long-term, a set like that, absolute banger for sure. We also have the unlimited printing coming forth here for Power of the Elements. I know a few people are still kind of upsetty spaghetti about that. I understand that unlimited prints coming in the near future. More people are now looking at some of the current sets, and they're going, well, if they're opening up the doors for this, Robbie, does that mean that they could do other unlimited prints? Yeah, it does. You might not like that, but, the tone that's just been set by doing this, it does set the stage for the possibility of other sets to get those key reprints. So I would be patient. I would wait and see what happens in the near future. I wouldn't say that we're in turbulent times, not at all. I think a set getting the reprint to kind of, fill some shelf life from stores that need product, I think that that's good. Like I said in another previous video, there are a lot of stores that, will go through their allocation and then they'll be like, well, I just don't have product for a couple months at a time, and that sucks, especially like if your players, are getting packs, you're going through packs on entry, and you're like, oh, well, we're out of product, what do? You can't get any more from distro. I understand. I've seen it happen. It's not a good time when it happens here. So those are kind of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Once again, it's not dying. The game has gotten progressively cheaper in some departments for staples, which is good. The metagame is not exactly in the greatest place, but that's fine. We also have the wondering where Konami's going to put the Selection 5 cards here in the near future, because, I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to bring to the table, where those alt arts are going to go, what rarity those alt arts are going to go, and what kind of goodness that we'll see from those. I really wish they would bring over the application of those alternate art starlights. That would be massively nice. Please, no more gold rare for those particular cards. At least put them in ultra rare. Let me enjoy them. If not, you can go toss them in the Lost Art collection. I would be fine with a Lost Art set, containing a majority of these cards. I think that would be one of the coolest things that you could actually do at the end of the day. But, nah, as long as everybody can get their hands on them or enjoy those particular cards, I think that would be a good thing. So, what do you guys think about the state of the game heading on in to December here? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I always love hearing the thoughts of everybody to kind of see what's going on with the mess that we call format. And I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.